So I got this coffee table from Goodwill for $12.99 and I love the design, but it needs some updating. So I use this Black & Decker orbital rotating sander I got from Lowe's. I got most of my stuff from Lowe's. And then I got this Gator 60 grit sandpaper to go on the sander. And I sanded all of the stain and poly off of the top and buffed out any scratches and imperfections. So this took a while, but with the coarse grit sandpaper, it makes all of it come off. You can also use stripper, but I hate using stripper, so I prefer just to sand it all down. In a second, I also use my detail sander on the side, but you can use this sander or sandpaper if you prefer. So I just make sure to get all of that stained so where you can only see the natural wood. And then I use these furniture wipes I got from the Dollar Tree. And I just wiped everything down just to make sure there was no dust left on it. And here I'm going in with that detail sander to get all the edges and everything. Which, if you don't have a detail sander, I would use just hand sandpaper for all the different details. And I'm going back over with those wipes from the Dollar Tree just to make sure it's all clean. And then I went with this Beryl Brown Rust-Oleum stain. And I use these pads from Lowe's, staining pads. So I went on with this stain, and this stain doesn't have poly in it, and I ended up not liking this stain and going over it with a different one. A lot of people told me not to get the stain with poly, but I actually really prefer it. So if you know what you prefer, then go with that, but I prefer the one with poly in it. And if you like this color, they probably make one with poly in it, or if you like this method, then use this method, but I just didn't like the way it turned out. So I'm trying to go over it again here just to make it darker because it just really didn't go on very good. So then this is the one I'm going over it with. It's the shade Espresso. I was going to do that gray wash, but I decided I have had better luck with this stain, so I just went over it with that stain. Which is the beauty of doing this kind of stuff, because if you don't like it, you can always fix it or do something else. So this stain also says you can go use it over stain and polyurethane, so you really don't have to sand, but I prefer sanding. I think it's better if you do sand, but that's why I can just go over it with this stain already on it. I just went right over it. And then this is Kills primer that I always use, you can't really tell. And then I use these project brushes from Lowe's. I'm going to link all this stuff below. So I just did the first coat of Kills with my paintbrush on the legs, and it's kind of hard to cover up wood with white. So I had to do several coats. I did 2 coats of each one. Of Kills and 2 coats of the paint. And then here I'm going over with some sandpaper I got from the dollar store. I don't know what grit it is, but it said coarse. But I'm just going over that to distress it because it wouldn't cover up some places. So I just went ahead and distressed it to make it look cohesive and normal. So this is how the top turned out before I put another coat of poly on it. So it's kind of distressed and rustic. And then I am still painting the Kills on. So then I go over with this fast drying polyurethane. I don't recommend the oil based on white paint, but I do use it on darker woods and stains. And then I use this polyurethane brush from Walmart. So I just went over that, and I really liked how the color turned out after I did the poly. It really brought out all the details and made it look really polished and finished. So I was really happy with it after the poly. Which the other one has poly in it, so you don't have to do this step, but I think it makes a difference. And then this is the paint I use. It's Color Max acrylic paint by Krylon. I think that's how you say it, but it's indoor, outdoor, and it's just satin white. So it's a true white, and I don't get anything mixed in with it. And this is the white I like to use. So again, it takes several coats to get that matte white finish that covers up everything. And then I just started doing this, and it makes a world of difference. I use this 320 grit sandpaper after I'm done painting, and you just go in over your paint and very gently buff out all of the texture, and it makes a really smooth finish, and it makes it look really polished and feel really polished, and it just makes a big difference, because if you don't do this, then it kind of feels rough and gritty. But after you do this, it's very smooth, and I'm going to start doing this to everything that I do. By all means, I'm non-professional, but I hope y'all liked this, and here's the final result. Thanks, guys.